What's up, guys? Coyote Works here. Well, it's Sunday morning and I'm heading out to find another lost mine site. So I thought I'd discovered all of the lost and abandoned mines in the Ochoco National Forest, but last week a guy stopped by my office and told me about one that he had been to about 25 years ago when he was a young kid hunting with his dad. So he was able to give me an approximate location for the site. So I had a couple of days last week that I started poring over old historic map layers that I found online. And finally, on a 1968 map, I found some markings up in the area for some mining activity. So I'm going to head up in there today and see if I can find it. So to get to this mine site, I'm heading out a valley that leads up into the Ochoco Mountains. Slowly but surely, I'll start gaining elevation up through this valley. Soon you guys will start seeing some snow up here. So I'm going to have a couple of challenges today. This is not the ideal time to be doing this. There's actually quite a bit of snow on the ground up here, and that's going to make it challenging for me to pick up little signs that normally I would be able to observe that would help indicate if I was on the track of a historic site. So all I'm really going to be able to see is major disturbances of the ground, maybe a structure that's partially standing, things that are fairly prominent. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow this canyon up, and you can see it's pretty steep in through there by the contour lines. Then I'm going to work my way up, and here's where I have a mark for that mine. It's going to be about 2.5–3 miles up into the mine, and it looks like pretty steep, brushy country. Now, all those roads that you see on the map, none of those roads have been there since, oh gosh, like the late 60s or something. So I'm going to be traveling pretty light today. It's thick up in there, so I'm just going to take my chest pack and my camera, and let me just show you guys a little bit about the gear I have. So in my chest pack, I've got fire steel, headlamp, an extra knife, obviously some coffee, a compass, a lighter, an energy bar, some extra cordage, and then I've got some meds in here, some ibuprofen, some Tagamet, heartburn medication, things like that, and an emergency blanket. What I'm taking for snacks is, this will be my food for the day. So I've got a couple of rusks, and then I've got 4 pieces of druwors. This is a dried sausage. So that's my main lunch for the day. And then for backup food, I've got the energy bar, and then I'll take this water bottle here in this pouch, and it is also a metal container. So this gives me enough stuff that if something happens and I had to spend the night up there, I could, and be relatively comfortable. At least I can make fire and shelter and boil water and stuff like that. In addition to that, I've got some stuff on my person. I've got my Sig Legion handgun, an extra magazine for it, and then my SE4 fixed blade knife. Also in my pocket, I've got another flashlight, a Surefire Outdoorsman, another lighter in my pocket. All right, off we go. Couple of little tips, things that I always do before I hike away from the vehicle. One is I always put my keys in a pocket that I can completely close. And then I'm not taking my big tablet, I'm just taking my phone with the GPS app on it to navigate with. So we're gonna head up this canyon right here. Let's go check it out. So I wanted to show you guys something here real quick. I stumbled across this stump, and this stump is a really old stump. In fact, it could be over 100 years old. I know up in this area in the Ochoco, they started logging up here around the turn of the century, and somewhere around the 1930s, logging started becoming really prevalent. And this is one of the earlier stumps up here. So I just think stuff like that's kind of cool. All right, well, I was hiking down through the bottom of the draw because the most direct path is for me to follow that stream up, but I came to a place where there's an old road cut right here, and it's actually a little bit better walking. Man, it's brushy down in that draw. That's a lot of work climbing over all those snags. There's a set of animal tracks right there. Looks like it's not real fresh, but it's a coyote. Big old elk track. And this one's actually fairly fresh. With as fast as the snow's melting, this one can't be more. I mean, it could be actually from yesterday. Alright, this is pretty cool right here. A set of rabbit tracks, and again, they're fairly fresh. They're melted a little bit, but the temperature's been really warm, so the snow's melting off fast. I don't know if you can see that bare little twig sticking up there, but that's where a porcupine's chewed off that branch. And he chews through the outer bark to get down to the cambium layer where all the nutrients are. So there's a porcupine around here somewhere. Alright, so I came to this spot where two draws are coming together. One from that direction and one from that direction. And they're coming together in a Y right here. And I have to stay up this side. But what caught my eye when I was looking at the map is this is a nice big open area, fairly level down below the mine. And all of this country in here is really steep. So this would be a great place for there to have been a camp. Now, the problem is with all this snow on the ground, I'm probably not going to be able to tell if there was some kind of a camp here or not. Normally what I would do is I would circle this camp and grid it back and forth, walking back and forth, looking for cans, broken glass, old boards, nails in trees, any kind of a sign that there was a camp here. But I'm not going to be able to do that today, so I think I'm just going to keep pushing up to the mine. I've got a little flat spot right here, and then it's going to start getting steep again. Yeah, check this out. There's some old stumps in here. And these are a little bit smaller trees. My guess would be these were trees they cut down for timbers for the mine. All right, here's another set of rabbit tracks. Actually, a couple of sets. It's the same rabbit. He's just going back and forth between his den in that little tree and other places up here where he gets a little snack. All right, I'm bushwhacking it now. This is getting thick in here. All right, so I should be within just 100 or 200 yards from the first marking, which is a tunnel. So it's going to be somewhere up behind me on the left. And luckily the terrain will be pretty level here for a little bit. So, but I am starting to sweat a little bit. I had a pretty good climb back behind me, so I'm just going to sit here and breathe, have a little snack. I think I'll snack on a piece of rusk and then maybe a couple of drool ore, just to get a few calories in me for the final push to find the shaft, the tunnel, and the old building. All right, so here's the deal. One piece of this drool ore, dried sausage, and a chunk of this rusk will keep me fueled up for this is about an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of calories right here. High protein, high fat in the dried sausage, and high carbs in the rusk. So I just chew on a little rusk, bite of sausage, a little drink of water, and I'll just sit here and give myself about 5-10 minutes, just cool off a little bit. Do you guys see what I see? I think that is a tailing pile right there. So I'm going to go up and investigate a little closer. Wow, this is thick in here, but I do think I'm up on top of a tailing pile. We're getting closer, guys. I can feel it. All right, I think I see the first tunnel. See this trench right here? And then I'm up on a hill on one side. And then right back through there, I think I see a timber. So let's go check it out. All right, guys, look at this right here. Piece of metal. And it may not look like much, but this tells me that I'm at where there was some activity. And right behind me is the tunnel. So it's kind of drifted in with snow, and I don't know whether it goes down. I can see a few timbers right here at the mouth. It's kind of collapsed, so I'm gonna probe it a little bit and make sure I don't step into a bottomless pit right there, and then I'll let you guys take a look at it. Okay, we're good. There's water right here and it's frozen, so, but I can see back down into the shaft right here, so I'm just gonna take a peek in there. Oh yeah, beautiful. All right, sorry about the shaky camera work, but okay, can you see that wooden wall back there? All right, those are timbers. And there's a timber coming down right there. But that's pretty cool. So this is the first, so I'm gonna keep pecking around here and see if I can find the other tunnel. Hopefully you guys can see, there's where I'm at. So this thing that I'm standing by that I just showed you guys is a shaft. So theoretically that should mean that it goes straight down. But now just about another 25 yards or so off to the east of me, there should be a tunnel. So I'm gonna try to find that next. Look, there's some old timbers laying right there. And you can see the ends of some timbers right up there. And I see some collapsed boards or something right over there. This is freaking awesome. Look guys, look. What do you see right up in there? I see timber sticking up. I see fresh rock face, or not fresh, but fresher. All right, so it doesn't look like much, but there's going to be a tunnel right in here. All right, so the cool thing about this is too, by the size of the tailing piles around here, I know a couple of things. One, there's probably going to be more tunneling inside this hillside here, number one. And number two, there's going to be some fairly extensive tunneling because there's a lot of material that they pulled out of this mountain through this shaft. There's also going to be a fairly significant campsite somewhere around here because all this extensive tunneling took a significant amount of time for a very small number of people or a short period of time for a lot of people. Now with all this snow, I'm obviously not going to have very good chances of finding any old rails for the mine carts or anything like that. But I know where it's at, I know how to get back in here, and I'm super stoked that I at least found 2 tunnels that look to be accessible with a little work. I know it's going to be really hard to tell through the camera and with all the snow, but this is all tailings in here, really extensive tailings that came out of that mountain. I also see more tailings up here. Right up there is more tailings, which leads me to believe there's got to be more tunneling going back into the mountain up there. So I'm really stoked. I just can't tell you guys how awesome this is. I thought I found all the mines in the Ochocos. Look at this, guys. Another tunnel. This one's got water coming out of it. It's pretty awesome. Looks like there might be some more over and through there too. I got to be careful right in here where I'm walking around because there's all this water and I don't want to step in a bog or something. All right, well, I've been kicking around here a little more. So I found 3 at least partially collapsed tunnels. 1, 2, 3 here. I can see some more tailings here and then higher up on the hill here. But there's so much snow around here that I just really can't see a lot. And to be honest with you, it's a little dangerous to be kicking around near where these tunnels are with this snow covering so much on the ground. So I think I'm going to start working my way down this draw and just see if I can find the remnants of an old cabin or camp. So I'm just up out of the draw from where the tunnels are, and I just saw this underneath this tree. These are some boards right here. So every little thing like this is a clue. So they were doing some prospecting on this side, which is actually the east side of the draw. The tunnels are on the west side of the draw. But it's interesting. There's some wood here and some prospecting, and by prospecting I mean just shallow digging. They were probably just sampling the soil, looking for the right mineral content or whatever it was. I don't have any records on this mine, so I don't know if it was, it looks like a gold mine, and this area that it's in, there was some other gold mining activity within a few miles of here. My guess is that this is the old trail that led to the mine. I'm just a couple of 100 yards down below the mine, and on the east side of the draw I found this just barely discernible level little bench here, and I'm pretty sure that this is the trail, probably going from the area down there where they camped, which I'm going to pay attention to, up to the mine area. And do you see it? Right along this trail, there's a milled piece of lumber right there. So that just makes me believe even more so that this could have been the actual trail up to the mine. See all these little broken branches here? Well, I'm still following that trail that led up to the mine. And it's old and grown over, nobody's used it for a long time. But passing these trees, I see all these branches broken off. And as is often the case with trails, is the animals tend to follow the path of least resistance as well. Now they don't have to, they move pretty good through the thick timber, but if left to their own devices when they're not pushed, they'll tend to just meander along the path of least resistance. And this is a great example where probably the elk passing through here have brushed against and broke off these dry limbs along here. It's just beautiful country out here. So, to get to this mine site, I've hiked about 3 miles, pretty much uphill the whole way. It's pretty steep. You can see those far hills across there. Well, that's the other side of the drainage that I came up out of. So, all the way down in the bottom is where my Jeep is. And it's probably about, oh, I can't see the sun, but my guess is it's probably about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Took me a couple hours to get up here, so I'm going to start working my way back down. Some big old ponderosa pine trees right there. And this is pretty cool. I came into a stand of some really old growth ponderosa pine. And these trees are pretty amazing. They grow in the drier desert forests like this, and their bark is naturally resistant to fire. So as long as the woods don't get too choked up with underbrush, a fire can burn through a big stand of these old growth ponderosa pine trees, singe the bark, but the big trees will live. And that's part of how the forest stayed so healthy. When people first discovered these forests, they were just full of huge ponderosa pine trees. But as we've suppressed fire and as we've slowed down commercial thinning, you know, if you don't have fire to thin out that underbrush, then you need commercial thinning to do it. And if neither of those two things are happening, then this underbrush grows in really thick, and that makes a fire burn a lot hotter. So then when a fire comes through, it'll burn hot enough to kill some of these old trees. So this is pretty cool to come into an area where there's some good stands of these old growth trees in here. So I'm going to sit down here and take a break on this little log, but everything out here is damp from all the snow melting. So I'm just going to take some of these pine needles. The ones right on top in this area here are nice and dry, so I'm just going to make a little mat out of them for me to sit on, and that'll just keep me from absorbing too much moisture while I'm sitting there. It'll make it warmer, and then it's getting late in the day, so I don't want to get wet at this point in the day. I'm about halfway back to my Jeep, and I've got probably a good hour, and a half of sunlight left, or daylight, so I'm going to take a little break, snack on a little bit more of my Druelvorst and Rusk, and just relax. I'm going to save back one little piece of Rusk just in case something happens and I have to spend the night out here. I'll have a delicious snack for later. Well, I'm almost back down at my Jeep, maybe another half mile or so, and I'm coming down where the country levels off a little bit and it's not quite so steep. So I'm super stoked that I located that mine site. I can't wait to get back up here in the spring and check it out a little bit more. I just wanted to say once again how much I appreciate all you guys' support and comments and everything you've done for my channel. I love getting out here and doing this kind of stuff, and it's really been inspiring to drag my video camera along and show you guys. I'm going to make a beeline for the Jeep and then head back into town, and I'm thinking maybe grabbing some Chinese food for dinner. So that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed. Coyote Works out.